Hi, and welcome to the Impacts that Foster Care or Adoption Can Have on a Biological Child webinar. My name is Natasha Sawicki, and I am a post-adopt coordinator for Catholic Charities. So Helen Keller said, "All that we love deeply becomes a part of us." And I think this quote is so sweet for foster and adoptive families because it's incredibly accurate. Whether a child is in your home for a short amount of time or forever, he or she is always a part of you because of your love for that child. It's such a beautiful reminder during the ups and downs, whether it's your biological child or one from adoption. It's all love. So the Adoptive Sibling Experience Study. So this study was conducted of 182 adult biological children in Texas. They were asked to answer questions about their experience in their families when they lived in their home. While the study participants consisted of biological children and adoptive families, it should be noted that any child in an adoptive family can have the experiences described. From this study, I learned that there tends to be one member of the adoptive family who has the most externalized needs, which often can be traced to early life trauma, leaving the other children in the family, both adopted and biological, in the role of adoptive sibling. This means the child can be adopted and have the dual needs of an adopted child while also experiencing life as an adoptive sibling. So the first common theme was invisibility. So biological children can often feel invisible in their families, as if their parents do not even see them. They feel pushed to the side or rejected. Left alone long enough, their feelings of invisibility can become pervasive. They begin to feel as if no one truly sees them, just as we know adoptive children can internalize and struggle with feelings of not being good enough, lovable, or valuable. Biological children or siblings can struggle with similar emotions. So how do these feelings of invisibility develop? Asking this question is not intended to assign fault to any member of the family, but rather to foster understanding about how it happens. Awareness can result in change that benefits the entire family. Bringing a child into the family can be an all-consuming transition for all members. Bringing a child into the family, parents are often focused on the adjustment of the adoptive child and do not have the capacity to attend as consistently to the other children in their home. This can lead a biological child to feel invisible. If parents continue needing to focus primarily on the needs of the adoptive child, this relational pattern can become chronic. The parents may unknowingly tell themselves that the biological children are okay, that they do not have any emotional issues right now, or that they should be able to manage well enough without their support. The biological children interpret this to mean that they are not as important, that their needs are less critical than the adoptive siblings' needs, or their parents do not see or value them as much as the other sibling. Left unchecked, these feelings of invisibility can lead to struggles and unknowingly in knowing their own value and worth, and therefore impact many relationships in their life. The next theme is parentification. Biological children can experience parentification in two ways: as operating as emotional support for their parents or acting as another parent to their sibling. Sometimes a sibling loves this role. They love acting like a mom to their adorable little siblings, or feeling important and valued through meeting needs in their home. Other times, biological children resent this role. They believe they have no choice but to act as a parent because there is so much stress in the home, or they think their parents are not capable of handling all this stress on their own. No matter the biological child's view of their parent role, it is not a healthy experience for developing children. Research shows that parentification can lead to mental health issues and relationship issues as an adult. So how does parentification develop? Biological children tend to take on this role for a couple of reasons. Often they feel siblings of children who have adopted have a pre-existing relationship and an attachment to their parents prior to adoption. Attunement and connection are already present when new children enter the home through adoption. Adoptive siblings are more easily aware when their parents are overwhelmed, burdened, and exhausted. Most aspects of family life shift when adoption occurs, and many times, biological children are clinging to any sense of past normalcy. One way biological children do this is by working to have their old parents back, parents who are not overly stressed and weary. They begin to act as a parent in an attempt to decrease their parents' stress, hoping that their added help will provide their parents some relief, and the family life will return to the way it was before the adoption took place. Another reason biological children assume the parenting role is because they tend to be empathetic to the experiences of their adoptive siblings. They are aware of the early life trauma or loss their adoptive sibling experienced, and they want to help meet their needs in order to help them have the best life they can. Left unchecked, this parentification role can lead adoptive siblings or biological children to believe their worth and value in the family is tied to their ability to help in a meaningful way. If biological children are not appreciated for their efforts, they can become hurt and resentful of their parents' lack of acknowledgement. Biological children may also assume a role of peacemaking in the family. They put themselves in this role to ease any tension, mediate, and keep the peace in an effort to decrease the stress in the family. Because they can act as both a parent and a sibling, they understand the struggles of both the parent and the other children in the home and can work to bring understanding to both parties. Biological children may also work to keep the peace by trying not to add to their parents' struggles. Through perfect behavior, they aim not to be needy and to care for themselves in order to help their parents. This need to be perfect can also be a coping response to invisibility. If they do not appear to have any needs, it will not hurt as badly that their parents are unable to meet those needs. So how does peacemaking develop? So biological children are just as impacted by what occurs in the home as any other member of the family. They live in the same home, experience and witness the same daily struggles, and connected the same members of the family and are impacted by everything that occurs. Biological children want their family to be healthy and whole. They want the yelling to stop, the tantrums to end, the stress to be minimized, and their parents' worried expressions to be replaced with relaxed expressions and happiness they once knew. And they act in ways that they believe will fix what's broken. Unfortunately, no matter how hard they try, the reality is that biological children are not capable of fixing their families all by themselves. So, biological children live in the same home and are inherently connected to their families. They are deeply affected by what occurs in their family. So biological children can experience secondary trauma, defined as the exposure to another person who has experienced trauma. Not only do adoptive siblings or biological children hear the stories of what the adoptive children and their families have experienced, but they also often witness the effects of this early life trauma on their adoptive siblings' brains and bodies on a daily basis. They are exposed to the trauma-related emotional and behavioral problems adoptive children can experience. In particular, chaotic homes, adoptive siblings can be traumatized themselves, bullied, or made the target of many of the adoptive children's trauma-related emotional and behavioral problems. This secondary trauma can affect biological children in different ways. While the exposure can make them more empathetic, compassionate, and emotionally mature, it can also cause them to internalize it as their own trauma. They can grapple with the hard things that they are hearing and witnessing, and in their developing brains, were unable to make sense of it all. This can cause them to turn inward, keeping their feelings to themselves and not turning to their families for support. Secondary trauma can also cause biological children to struggle with their own emotional and behavioral problems. They begin to have similar trauma-related emotional and behavioral problems as the children in their home who have experienced early life trauma. One important distinction with emotional and behavioral problems is that biological children sometimes can model the behaviors of the child with the most traumatic related needs in the family. They can see that this child receives attention if they exhibit certain behaviors. So if they exhibit similar behaviors, they believe they will also receive that extra attention. This is different from experiencing emotional and behavioral problems due to secondary trauma. So we cannot expect children to tell us what they are thinking or how they are feeling if we do not model open sharing for them. Parents are often the means through which their children learn. If parents do not share their thoughts and feelings, their children most likely will not share their own feelings either. However, if parents show their children it is normal, comfortable, and safe to talk about what they are thinking and feeling, they will start engaging in a more open and honest conversation. That is why the foundation of a connected family is mindfulness. It is necessary for parents to become aware of what they are thinking and feeling before they start modeling this openness. Once this awareness occurs, it is easy to notice how often thoughts or feelings are voiced. So let's practice some mindfulness. The foundation of a connected family is mindfulness. This involves being mindful of one's own mental and emotional state, triggers, and effective regulation strategies. Further, mindfulness also involves being aware of one's family, being attuned to their mental and emotional states. This also means that parents can read when their children or child is feeling sad, antsy, maybe overwhelmed, angry, or any other feelings they may have. And they know what to do when their child experiences these feelings. What their child needs may take time to determine, but all children have needs that parents should be meeting. In order to have an open and honest communication, parents should be present with their family, attuned to their own mental and emotional state, as well as those within their family. Ask questions. Children need to know their parents care about what is happening in their lives. In order for parents to show they are interested in what they want to engage and connect in, they can ask open-ended questions. These can be very simple, such as, can you tell me about your basketball game? How are you feeling about your final exam? What do you need to help make this day even better? The following two strategies are tools that can be used in nearly every interaction in the home. The questions can be very basic, simple yes or no answers. With practice, these questions can create the space for families to talk freely and honestly about what they are thinking and feeling. Along with trying to model openness once each day, a good practice is to try to ask questions at least once a day. If families are living in survival mode or uncomfortable talking about feelings, this can feel impossible. However, it takes practice to form these habits. If families are intentional, it will eventually become second nature. So let's be receptive. So being receptive involves hearing what the other person has to say, thinking about it from their perspective, even if it's a disagreement. As long as their voice is heard, being receptive requires empathy and compassion and being able to put oneself in the other person's shoes. In a family, it is impossible to always agree. There are too many people with different personalities, opinions, and experiences. Sometimes we may start an argument or silence a family member simply because we have not stopped to be mindful and to think about the issue of their own perspective. To be receptive, a good practice is to pay attention to one's conversation in the family. Are you receptive to what others say? How often do you just passively listen without communicating your sincere interest or concern? And let's affirm preciousness. So children need their parents to affirm their preciousness daily. They are receiving many false messages from their value and worth, and they need their parents to counteract those lies. They need to hear things like, I love you. I'm so glad you're mine. You're such an incredible kid. There are no specific words that need to be said. Instead, parents can affirm their children by saying what is natural and authentic within their family. If parents are not authentic with their words, then their children will notice and the affirmations will fall flat. Parents may affirm their children verbally through a note or text messages or in a number of other ways. What matters is that the child consistently feels seen, known, and loved in an intentional and genuine way. So in conclusion, I just want learning about biological children can help to see the whole adoptive family unit more clearly. There may be stress and chaos in adoptive families due to a lack of communication, connection, and understanding, just like any family. But with some understanding of experiences of each member of the adoptive family, it will help recognize the needs of and effectively parent every child, build healthy, happy family relationships, and help every member of the adoptive family feel seen, loved, heard, and valued. Just remember, when helping your biological child transition to having foster or adoptive siblings, be understanding, gentle, and make them feel included. Doing those three things will help the transition go much more smoother and will blossom them into the sibling that the kids that go into your home need. Thank you so much for attending the webinar. If you have any questions or want to feel free to reach out to me, you can email me at natashaswicki@catholicharitiesnd.org. And below you can also see the references of where I got some of my information. Thanks again for attending.